Good evening and welcome to Late Night with Lenette. I'm Lenette Peterson, former two-term state rep for the town of Merrimack, and I am the host of Late Night with Lenette. Late Night with Lenette is going to be an informative, educative, and most definitely offensive show. My motto is to offend. I have my two first guests for the show, the visionary and creator, the Honorable Maureen Mooney.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure indeed. And of course, where would my show be without having Representative Jeanine, a.k.a. Jeanette Nodder,
Yeah.
on my show.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Now, this show is going to be talking about politics now and again, and yes, that is where we will offend. We are always going to have a Maggie moment discussing our illustrious governor and her latest shenanigans. If you are a Republican, vote Republican, or we will discuss your voting record on the show.
Uh-oh.
Yes, and in fact, already, we don't have a Maggie moment for today. Later on we might. However, the House in Concord is not a happy place for Republicans right now. Despite a 237 to 161 Republican majority, the prevailing side in 5 key roll call votes on Wednesday included support from a united Democratic caucus, at least 90% of the voting members, plus a significant minority of Republicans. Folks, this is wrong. The Republican Party should have the majority, not the Dems. 10 Republican lawmakers voted with the Democrats on all 5 roll call votes. Another 40 GOP representatives voted with the Democrats on 4 of 5 votes. And what's even more damaging, 20 of the 50 are part of Speaker Sean Jasper's leadership team. This is deplorable. This is wrong. If you're a Republican, vote like it, or you will be fodder on my show. Representative Nodder, do you have more to add to that?
No, if your goal is to offend, I just checked it off for you. Nice jacket, by the way.
Isn't this a nice jacket? This is my Late Night with Lenette jacket. Cost all of $2, the Goodwill shop.
And it shows.
Anything goes.
And it's offensive.
Yes.
So
That
it
is
goes
also
with the theme of your show.
Good one.
But you know, Lenette, maybe we should talk about how your show, your very first television show on Merrimack TV, got started.
Yes.
It was all her idea.
It was
My
essentially-
visionary.
Well, it's interesting because, as you know, we typically spend a lot of time out there campaigning, doing all sorts of things to campaign, because it seems like every time you turn around, there's an election worth getting the word out about a candidate or candidates. So this past summer, Jeanine and I spent a lot of time campaigning for various offices, spent a lot of time in the wee morning hours doing sign waves.
Yep, we
and
started before dawn the first week.
before dawn, yes. Even wearing, had to wear sweaters and jackets early in the morning on an August day because it was so cold, because the sun hadn't risen yet. Doing sign waves, doing door to door, doing what we could to get the word out. So during that time, we had a lot of time to talk, and when there was downtime. And one of the things we talked about was, what is Lenette going to do now that she's not running for office herself? So the idea of your own television program came up, calling it Late Night Lenette.
Late Night with Lenette. Who needs Saturday Night Live? We've got Late Night with
Right.
Lenette.
Exactly.
So as to not be SNL, you're LNL. And
That's the sign.
you could certainly take it upon yourself to talk about not only the issues that are important to you, but also various aspects of campaigning that some people are just not privy to because they're not out there enough.
Exactly.
Right.
And last summer, I could not join you because being the president of the Nashua Area Federated Republican Women, I could not endorse anybody. So I couldn't go out to a sign wave and hold a sign because that would have meant that I could be swaying someone because of my illustrious position as president.
Right.
Right.
Well, since you brought up NAFRW, that's what we call it. You're the current president. I'm a former president. But the very first meeting I ever went to was the Woman of the Year banquet, and Maureen Mooney was honored that year as the Woman of the Year.
That's right, 2007.
Okay, so
yes.
2007.
Yeah, and I have the clock to prove it. That was very special, very special group. In fact, when I first got involved in politics, and you've seen how far it's taken me, I think I'm into my 15th or maybe even 16th year, I would say, of Republican activism in the state of New Hampshire, which is really quite an accomplishment, frankly, to be on the scene for that long and have so many stories to tell. But it was the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women Nashua area chapter that I first got involved with. So for a young activist, new on the scene, wet behind the ears, it was a great organization to get started with. That's for
and
sure.
you were quite young.
Yes.
Yes.
In your 20s.
Yes,
Yeah.
you were in your 20s, and you don't usually see, unfortunately, Republican women in the limelight. You see, we're the party of old men. You see the old men in the limelight. You see men. So it was great that Merrimack had a young female Republican
Right.
in
It's
the
really
limelight.
important in organizations like that
Exactly.
to embrace a new person. As people like Sandra Ziem, Elizabeth Van Twyver, Carol Holden, very welcoming, in fact, to a new person coming on the scene. And it's probably because of them that I became as active as I did.
Well, Merrimack has Josh Moore. He's young, but he's a male.
Yes, he's a.
He's got a strike against him because he's a male.
But don't insult the young Jedi.
Oh, that she calls him Young Jedi.
He also has his own program, so
Yes, he's
all
all
set.
Yeah,
He
he's
didn't
probably
need-
going to watch the show. And
He didn't need people getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning coming up with the blueprint for Lynette's show. Like
right. No,
Lynette
he
had.
did join us sometimes for those sine waves. But
did.
we had so much fun. It was like anytime something funny came up, Maureen would say, we've got to write that into the show.
Yeah.
She wrote a whole season of material for you for Late Night with Lenette, and you didn't even know you were going to have a show.
No, in fact, that's one of the things I had said to my husband when we were discussing my show. He said, all the time that's going to go into this? I said, no. There's no time at all. Maureen Mooney has already planned my whole show for the next year. I'm good to go. I just need to find a different shirt every week.
Right.
Because
Well,
any
you
shirt
can
will
wear
go
this-
with my
yes,
jacket.
You can wear the same jacket I don't know how many times.
It's also a breath of fresh air, too, because when people think politics, they really aren't thinking the lighter side of things. No. And a lot of times there is a lot of humor to be had in the political scene and the way, in the great lengths that politicians go to get a vote.
Exactly.
I mean, for example, your early morning endeavors to get that corner spot at whatever polling location has been deemed
yes,
the polling
it
spot.
was in the paper, that coveted corner.
Right. Those that come in and out of the polls and they vote very quickly, they don't see the other side to that. They don't see what that's like. And so hopefully your show will more humanize the political scene here in Merrimack.
And Merrimack is also a very color-coordinated polling station.
Yep.
We have Jeanine green.
Yeah, this green. That's my green. Thank you for putting it on your
Yes.
sign.
I couldn't have had any other green. And then there's Peterson purple, and of course we had Nothing Rhymes with Orange. Tony Pellegrino was always orange, so he was the great pumpkin, and his family was the pumpkin patch.
There you go. Again, the lighter side. When
Yes.
you're out there at the polls for that long, you're bound to come up with some
Exactly.
humorous
And you had
lines.
a good Republican color on your sign,
Yes.
which you're wearing today, and
Definitely.
it matches my purse. My purse is a good Republican color.
That's
We
right.
had fun with this at my my uncle's funeral. We have Democrats in the family, and we're talking about, I like your purse. I said, thank you. It's a good Republican color. And one of my cousins, who is a Republican, had this red scarf. So I took it and I snuck up behind one of the Democrats and I threw it around cousin Glenn. I went, Glenn, we're going to get our picture taken. Smile. And I've got a picture of him making a funny face.
Yeah.
I made him be a Republican. And then his son came over and said, I just want you to know that 2 Democrats raised a good Republican. I'm like, yes, all right, me too. My parents too.
Yeah, exactly. But wardrobe does go into it.
Oh, it does.
Factor in, and
Yes.
your average voter wouldn't know that.
Right. And in fact, by wearing purple and holding my purple sign, our first general election, Jeanine and I were freshmen the same year. Our first general election, I had a few ladies from the opposition come over and ask me if I was Lenette, and I said yes. And they said they loved the color of my sign, so they voted for me.
Wow.
Sign color is important.
Again, that's a
Yes.
story you wouldn't know unless you had
Nope.
LNL.
Exactly.
And we have our phones on the show because speaking of humor, I'm going to send Lenette a text. Put your phone over by you. Hers is purple.
Not me, though. I make it a rule not to bring my phone on a television or radio program that I'm on.
Well, you'll like
That
this.
rule obviously doesn't apply to you, so that's
Well,
okay.
no, this
You go
was
ahead.
this was part of
Hold it up. It's coming.
our lit drops and everything else. You have to have fun with your ringtones.
Yeah.
And
Oh, this is going to be a text. And then
Yes.
I'll call you.
Whoa.
there, no alarm. It's just a text. And of
Wow.
course, in Reps Hall, we had mixed seating.
We do now.
Democrats and Republicans all mixed in. I never fully silenced my phone so the people in front could hear it, which
They
of
would
course
jump.
were the opposition.
Yeah.
And they were not Second Amendment friendly, so they would get startled every once in a while.
Yeah.
From across the hall, I always knew when Lenette was getting a text by the women in front of her that would jump every time her cell gun went off.
They would tell me it was so offensive, and I said, how can a sound be offensive?
So I'm going to call you now.
That was just part of the
Yes.
fun.
And that's just if you get a text.
yeah, that's my tone, my text tone.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Wow, so you got another one.
Oh, and then
I'm
you have to
calling
have
her
fun.
now, so you can hear the music that plays when I call her phone.
And this was from our lip dropping. This is a kind of a theme song of ours, as we would lip drop all over Merrimack.
Is it not on? Why is it not? Oh.
See? Who else would know that unless you had this show? Wow.
As my children got a kick out of that ringtone.
Yes.
For a different reason, and I said, no, that's Representative Nodder's ringtone.
Oh, and our mutual friend also from Merrimack, Ellen Kolb, she was like looking at me like, why aren't you offended? I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm laughing because when we were doing our lit drops, there were some streets we'd go down, I'm like, are we still in Merrimack? And then that music would come to mind. And then we, hour after hour of doing these lit drops and trying to get our literature out there, we would come up with stories like, in the fall, there's all these leaves, and I'm like, we're going to find a body. I just know it. And then we saw somebody working on a house, and I'm like, that's the guy that hid the body. And like,
Oh, yeah.
it just all went with that music.
And we
my
would critique mailboxes. A lot of people in Merrimack have mailboxes that look like caskets.
Is that right?
Yes, they look kind of Victorian, kind of Gothic, but they look like, and my youngest daughter, who at the time was majoring in funeral home management, was the first to notice these casket mailboxes.
Miniature.
So, yes, you got to have fun lit dropping. I mean,
Amazing.
We tubed the whole town of Merrimack at least in the past 4 years. I'm going to say 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of hours.
That is.
And then we would meet people who they heard of Lenette, but they didn't know who I was, and I'm like, but we did all our lit drops together, so how come some people got your literature and not mine? And it makes you wonder, like, is there some foul play there, or did they just look at the one on top and toss the other? I don't. No way of knowing, but after all those hours, darn it.
Well, it's good to know you're getting some market feedback, frankly, from that.
And that's
in terms
the
of how to
market
do it
feedback.
and
I
how
like
to
that. Write that down.
Right, and how to get the most for your lit drop.
Right, and that's also how Jeanine came up with her AKA name of Jeanette. Up at the State House, if you saw Lenette, you saw Jeanine. If you saw Jeanine, you saw Lenette. They always would say, hi, Lenette. Hi, Jeanette.
Yeah,
Yes.
even Tony
Right.
Pellegrino calls me Jeanette sometimes.
Yes, there you have it.
No one knows my name. I'm like, oh.
So once in a while, Dick Barry, just to help poor Jeanine, would call me Lenine.
Yes.
There you
Thank
go.
you, Dick Barry.
There
I
you go.
appreciate
You
it.
could get one, so you could really save money on signs by just having the one
Having the
name,
one, yes.
for the next campaign. That's for sure.
You do purple and green with Jeanette.
Well, I do miss our lunchtime buffets. We would bring, although that was a lot of calories, because we would have a buffet every day at lunch. And we just have all this food spread out, and we just share.
But most of it was healthy. We'd
Yeah.
each bring a salad, should have nuts. I'd have some dried fruit.
nuts.
I'd have a couple clementines, should have something. And we
Yep.
would just be,
And there was always chocolate.
yeah, there was always,
Yes.
you got to have chocolate.
We don't have
Do they
that.
still have the fancy pizzas in the cafeteria there? I remember one morning I brought a guest and he came back with a pizza with a fried egg on the pizza. Never have I seen that combination
Was it
before.
a breakfast pizza? They have
A
breakfast,
breakfast
pizza.
pizza,
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
I've never seen that combination before, but at the New Hampshire State House. So again, another good reason for you to have this show, or people would know where to get one of the best breakfast pizzas in town at the State House cafeteria.
Exactly. Yes, and who knows, we may have a Merrimack restaurant on here once in a while to promote small business in Merrimack.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, we too will be doing that in the Rotary Club of Merrimack. I will be the president next year.
Oh, very good.
And part of our plan, which we have a lot of planning to do, but part of it is to recognize businesses in town as well as volunteers in town. So it sounds like your show may coincide with that theme very nicely.
Yes, very good. And there are a lot of nice small businesses in Merrimack. You don't know them. Like, I live in South Merrimack. I'm almost in Amherst. The houses across the street from me, their backyards actually abut Amherst. So a lot of times when I'm going to go out and do a quick run to the store or a quick errand, I'm in Amherst or Nashua. Because for me to go to the Merrimack post office takes longer than for me to go, say, to the
Joey's
Milford
Diner.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember campaigning last summer. In fact, it was easier for me to go to Joey's Diner, closer that way, where the Amherst Republicans would meet, than it was at the town hall in Merrimack, where the Merrimack Republican Town Committee meets. So that does sometimes happen.
Yeah. So it's nice if you can, and people would mention, like Jeanine was always mentioning small businesses in Merrimack, and I'm like, where's that? And she goes, Merrimack?
Yeah.
Yes,
But-
she wouldn't know.
I
I've
wouldn't
all
know.
these places.
Yeah.
But at least you know where you are, because sometimes I'll be at home and my cell phone will read Amherst, New Hampshire.
Oh, wow. No, mine always
No,
says
that's
South
not quite
Merrimack.
right.
Yeah. Mine says South Merrimack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good. It's good that phone is correct, not only with the sound it makes, but also
Yes.
with its directions.
Yes. And it's also Peterson Purple.
Yes.
I hear there may be some condolences in order.
Oh.
Did you have? Is your truck sick and on its last leg?
Yes. My 2004 Chevy Colorado has 222,000 miles.
Whoa.
And it's in the shop. It may be,
And how many of those are campaign miles?
oh my
A
word.
lot. Because all our lit drops, she would drive and I would hang out the window, jump out the window, and drop the lit.
And that was another fun part of lit drops. I can lock my passenger window, and knowing that one of us was not a real huge dog fan.
Well, it's not that I wasn't a
I
dog
was-
fan, just big ones that are scary.
So we're
And that
sitting-
can happen when
Startling.
going door to door. and
Yes.
Sometimes you have to run into.
There were some pit bulls that
No, they were-
You have to
no,
run
no.
into the local pooch.
Hold on, they were not pit bulls. They were Rottweilers.
Rottweilers, yeah.
And we're sitting in my truck, and we were putting a sign in a friend of mine's yard, and I can see the next yard. There's two Rottweilers sitting on a back deck.
They wanted to
And
eat
you could
me.
tell they had an electric fence. I looked real quick, and you could see the big electric fence
Sure. Caller.
collar. So I casually locked her window on down. And we're slowly going up the street, and I'm moving as far as I can over to the edge of the street. And as soon as we get near the yard, who comes charging across the yard with these two Rottweilers barking their fool heads off? She's screaming, trying to get the window up. I'm laughing
I
hysterically.
wasn't screaming. I was not screaming. I just was startled. Wouldn't you be startled if two big mean dogs were going to eat you? They're coming at you.
Absolutely.
I can tell there's an electric fence. She probably didn't notice the callers because she's in such a panic mode.
Yeah.
And it was very
She
entertaining.
exaggerates. Exaggerate. Don't listen to this woman. Look at that jacket. How could you take someone serious wearing a jacket like
With
that?
your truck on the way
I had a
out,
bedspread
though.
in the early 70s that matched that jacket.
With your truck on the way out, all those bumper stickers on the back. How
I know it.
is Merrimack going to know what to think on the issues?
I have no idea.
I'll tell you.
It's like a revolving billboard for
Yes,
conservative
and I was
politics.
never into bumper stickers until the current administration. He warrants bumper stickers.
Wow, and
Yes.
now you have it all
Lenette-
plastered there. How many would you
Yes.
say you have on the back of your car?
Ooh,
Take a guess. We should have
Probably
like
a dozen.
Guess the jelly bean kind of contest. Guess the number of
and
conservative.
it's funny. I've had to recycle some because they fade. The very first one that I put on there has never faded, and I
Okay.
think it's
Wow.
divine intervention.
Oh yeah.
Yes, the bumper sticker reads, God and Obama have one thing in common. Neither one have a birth certificate. The only difference, God does not think he's Obama.
Did
that
you hear
hasn't
my
faded.
dramatic
That's pretty
music?
good.
That means there's a news break. Now, I've been trying to hand these to you. Since you're have to get a new vehicle, you're going to need some offensive bumper stickers, and
No,
I have
they
8.
don't offend.
Wow.
They don't offend good voters.
So,
What do they say?
well, all right, I'll let you.
Oh, okay.
They're for you. They were free. I didn't spend money on them.
Darwin.
Darwin.
Yes.
Darwin. Try to say that 5 times.
Yeah, that's
fast.
tough.
Darwin. No, it's Darwin. You don't need the R.
That's tough.
Real.
You don't need the R.
It's Darwin. Yeah, real presidents don't apologize for their country. Amen to that.
Wow.
Socialism, spreading poverty equally since 2008. Love it. That'll fit so well. And I think I have this one. One nation under debt and getting worse and worse by the minute.
I haven't seen any of these yet.
We are.
Give me liberty, not a bailout. Hello. Oh, and I love his emblem. It always looks good in an O. No, we can't afford this kind of change. I had a few of them with his O on there for no.
I like the one that said nope.
Yes,
With the O, I love
No,
nope.
this one has it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Born free, taxed to death. Hello. Obamanomics, the change I have left after paying your bills. Yeah, that's about that.
So these are
You
for
have
the new
change.
truck,
These are
just
for
in
the new
case your
truck.
old truck
So
doesn't make it.
There
There you go.
go.
I got an extra set of these free bumper stickers because I knew I'd want to give them to you. And
This
what
makes
gift
my day.
for you.
Nice. It's always
I'm
nice to
having
have
I'm having heart palpitations as we speak.
Yes.
Yes.
Why, thank you. My new truck is going to look smashing.
I guess all ready for the next campaign season.
Yes.
Because it'll be here before you know it. Well, the town elections are coming up, actually.
Yes,
We've got
and-
those coming up next month.
Yes, and this is a good spot to announce that I have put my name on the ballot again for
Oh.
town council.
Oh, you have my
Wow.
vote then.
Yes,
Very
there's
good.
there's two different elections for the town council. There's three-year positions open, and there's a one-year position open. The
Yeah.
last year for our town councilman Dave Yakuboff.
Right. So it's
yes.
a
May you
term.
rest in peace.
Yes. Yeah. So I am going for the 1 year
Ah, okay.
spot.
I see.
Yes. Little strategizing going on my part, looking at who had signed up for what.
Yeah.
And there's a method to my madness. Always.
Interesting. So you'll be back out there again.
Yes, I will be back out there again
Doesn't
with my
take
Peterson
long.
purple signs,
Once
town
you-
council, not state rep.
Wow.
They look the same. In fact, I had a delegate sign. I have 3 different signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
State
I've
rep
got your
signs?
town council one in my garage. I'll put it out.
Oh, good. Yeah.
We can do
Yeah.
a sine wave, and we could play sine wave bingo. That's
Yes.
that's another thing that Maureen dreamed up besides late night with Lenette. In those
Favorite
early
game.
mornings, we came up with sine wave bingo. And actually, I think one of the last sine waves we did, I actually had a table set up so we could play sine wave bingo.
Yes.
It was
Because
like
we would start to see patterns. You know,
Right.
the same people would go by. The
Bicycle
same
built for
vehicles
two.
would, right, the same vehicles would go by and typically, give us a toot and we would give them the thumbs up and so forth. So why not make a
that was
game
an
out
easy
of
one.
it?
A
Exactly.
toot was an
But
easy,
again,
easy
this
square
is
to
what's
get.
so unique and special about your show is that people get to see the more human side. I mean, it's not just a matter of talking about the important issues and getting out there and, oh, it's this person again or that name again or here they are at my doorstep. We're all human and we're all in this for the best interest of our communities and the best interest of our states.
Right. And life is too short not to have fun.
Right.
You've got to have fun no matter what you're doing. If you're not having fun, change. Do something to have fun.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right. You have to keep a lighter side of things. That's right. Because a lot of
Exactly.
these issues are very serious, and we do take them all very seriously. But at the same time, you have to have some fun when you're out there, especially on the campaign trail.
Oh, exactly. Especially on the campaign trail, because I mean, you're campaigning for months. Like Jeanine and I have never had it to where we could just go into the general election. We always had a primary. Did you ever have?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
she
Those
had a
primaries,
very
yeah.
contested primary, and we were friends with everybody she was running against. It was kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's why I brought. I know she always had
I saw all
a.
4 of you sitting together at a meeting last week. I said, "Wow, it's all over, and now there's the 4 of them." They ran
But the good
against
thing
each
about a
other, and now
campaign,
they're
though,
sitting
is that
together.
there's always another campaign, and when
Exactly.
one ends, it's always an outlook for the future and what comes
Exactly.
up into the
Yep.
future
Yep.
in terms of the campaign next to come.
Well, we'll have to play sine wave bingo again, and turning something negative into a positive. We had one square that we never got to fill because it only happened one time, but we had a toot and finger combo. Somebody on the other side of the street honked their horn, and we both looked at the same time, and they flipped us off, and we just laughed, and we got to put that
Luckily,
on the
that
sine
was
wave
the
bingo.
exception
Yes.
to the rule.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
for
most
sure.
people were very friendly, and some
Yeah.
people, who aren't even into politics, they did appreciate seeing us out there where we stood.
Definitely. It's great to get a great feedback, too.
Oh yeah. So some people don't realize that if your election is in November, you've probably been campaigning since June, because most people in Merrimack have had a primary.
Yep.
So your campaigning at least starts in June. State Senate, I know it started well before then.
That's correct.
Even before you had your name on the ballot, which you put your name on the ballot in June, your campaign started before then.
It has to.
It
Because
has
it's
to.
a huge campaign. That's
Exactly.
Right.
And even though state senators only make $200 for their 2-year
That's
term,
correct.
minus Social Security.
Right.
You have to spend thousands of dollars for your campaign.
That's correct.
You have to work
And really,
months in advance.
I can't speak for every campaign, but for my own, it was all for the community, to give back to the community. I have time and talent and ability to represent the interests of the community, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's why I put my name out there.
Right.
But Lenette, good luck with your show. We're so glad we're here for the kickoff version.
Yes.
I know you'll do a great job in terms of bringing the human side to Merrimack politics.
Yes.
Speaking of humans, did you see this? This was in the paper, and I can't believe how many of these humans I know.
Yes.
And Maureen, they put a squiggly line, but there you are right there.
Yeah, the only one from Merrimack.
Yep. But
Very good.
there's
Of,
Rich
the
Ashew
New
and Kevin
Hampshire
Avard,
115
and
it's
Kelly
called.
Ayotte, Al Baldessaro. I mean, we
Great
know
article.
most of these people.
That was in
Great.
what paper was that
Boston
in?
Globe on
There you go.
February 20th.
Very good, yes.
Yes, talks
I saw
about
it
the
on
invisible primary, essentially, and that is the primary before the presidential primary,
Right.
where these presidential candidates fly in from all over the country and really focus in on activists in order to get early endorsements, early support. So I was very happy, out of a list of 115 of New Hampshire residents who are highly coveted for their endorsements in the presidential race, I was very happy to be the only one from Merrimack and represent Merrimack in that
Very good.
capacity.
Yes, very good. Yeah, and it's very important that people do get out early to endorse presidential candidates running. The previous presidential primary campaign season, early on, I was not a president of any club, so I could endorse. I endorsed Senator Rick Santorum
Yes.
from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter landed an intern position with him. Now she was in her senior year of high school. That looks good on your resume. That you were an
Absolutely.
intern for a presidential
if the
candidate.
election
And only in
were
New
today,
Hampshire.
Only in New Hampshire, yes.
It's really a unique state.
Are you supporting anybody right now? I mean, if the election were today, who would you vote for?
I'm the president of the
Oh, you're
National
not
Area
allowed.
Federation
What
of
about
Republican
you?
Women. I can't.
Are you
I'm,
allowed?
I'm still making my rounds, meeting everybody.
Okay.
So I'm
How
not
about
coming
you?
out yet.
I like Scott Walker. I really, really like Scott Walker. But
Yes.
I kind of like Rand Paul, too. I like Ben Carson. I mean, there's a lot of good ones out
There's
there.
a lot of good
There
ones.
are.
But unfortunately, I'm kind of liking that I can't endorse. Because then
I
I
liked
can.
it, too.
Yeah, I can listen to everyone. I can take everything in. I
Yeah.
can go to everyone. And no one's going to say, well, you are supporting them. What are you doing here? I didn't endorse anyone.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a unique position too. Some
Yes.
people don't realize that either, that some
Yeah.
positions prohibit you from endorsing. For
Exactly.
example, some people, you won't see Jennifer Horn on this list, for example, because she can't endorse.
Yes. Well, we are coming to a close on the inaugural Late Night with Lenette. I want to thank
And
both
again,
of you.
good luck with your show.
Oh, how can it fail with all your planning? Thank you so much, and tune in and beware. Late Night with Lenette will be back again.